Can everyone hear me? Good? All good? Okay, good. Okay, let's start, okay? So I'm actually recording. Last time I gave this same presentation, a lot of people asked me for recording, and I did not record it. I purposely did not record it, okay? And this time I will record it, but I will think about whether I will distribute widely, okay? So I reserve the right to distribute a recording, okay? So anyway, so I will start sharing screen. Here we go. And let me see, view, slideshow. Okay, so my name is Dandan Pan, and I'm founder of two tech education companies. And I'm not gonna go through the self-introduction here because I'm gonna share with you on the LinkedIn and see how we can improve the profile for LinkedIn. So at that time, I can talk about my experience, okay? So go. So I think this whole presentation was, I would say, triggered by the massive job loss due to COVID-19. Quite a few of us that lost job, especially folks in the industry. I did go to Cornell, and Cornell is very famous for its hotel management school, and quite a few of my alumni lost jobs because all the hospitality industry is severely affected, okay? So I think all of us are, you know, always trying to help others, you know, either make a phone call to a friend or help people babysitting, right? So all of us, we are human beings and we help each other. And right now it's very difficult to go out to do some physical work, right? I used to be with my son, we used to be very, very heavily involved with Andrew Yang campaign. We did a lot of door to door and for the election, but right now we could not go out. So I thought it might be a great idea to just share some of the tips for job hunting, because I do have the experience, and I will show you a lot of techniques for job hunting, but I will also kind of show you the big picture. I have a lot of ideology or a lot of holistic approach. So it's not like, okay, you know, question A, I do this, question B, I do this, is just a tool. But I think there's a lot of things surrounding it to make your job hunting much easier. And eventually you will find your dream job, okay? So here you go. Everybody, so please mute yourself. Throughout this presentation, I'm gonna talk. At the end, I will open up for Q&A. So at the end, when the Q&A, hopefully you can turn on camera. If you're not comfortable, that's fine. It's being recorded. I'll tell everybody it's being recorded, and I have my own right to distribute it, okay? And also this whole thing of the presentation. Here you go, the disclosure is community service purely. I do not provide paid training career service. I posted a fly into different groups. Quite a few group owners on the WeChat were very suspicious. They're thinking I'm posting advertisement. No, this is not an advertisement. I do not do paid career training service. Maybe in the future I will, okay? If I'm getting really good at it, maybe in the future, but not right now. I'm very, very busy with my startup. I will not provide any paid training career service. If people want to ask me questions, I'm actually really, really, really busy. So I will probably refer you to a better coach instead of myself, because I'm not in this profession, okay? And there's no service or products being shared. I will share briefly my background. I will share briefly what my company is about it. However, the views shared are my private views only, my private views, and do not represent any views of the organizations, the companies I'm associated with. It's a purely independent community service project here, okay? Taking notes is fine, but I would not prefer the notes to be widely distributed or shared, because I've run into cases that people take parts of the notes without the context. It can be easily misunderstood, okay? And all the presentation will be English. I believe there will be English speaking people, our English speaking audience here. So, and the folks are asking me like whether I can present in Chinese, just purely in Chinese to Chinese community. Here you go, we're in America. So this job hunting presentation is for folks that who live in North America and looking for jobs. So I prefer to speak in English because when you look for jobs, majority, I think very few jobs say, okay, I can hire you, purely you don't speak English. So I think this is really to promote English speaking, in the career professional world in North America. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so first, when we start looking for jobs is extremely tedious. Okay. And this presentation is for folks who lost jobs or who want to change jobs, or who are interns who lost interns, or who are looking for a great summer intern next summer. Okay, and most recruiting season will be starting October. Okay, running through the spring terms. So this is for everybody, or for like folks who have students in college, and like, okay, well, just come and kind of listen to my sharing as training. That's completely fine. Okay, so but at the end, this presentation, it's about that finding a dream jobs, what you want to obtain. It's not just a job, it's your dream jobs. You know why? Because we spend how many hours a day? I told my high school friends on the WeChat, I said, I pretty much working 10 hours a day and 7 days a week. That's about 70 hours a week. I better enjoy what I'm doing. If I'm not enjoying what I'm doing, I'll be completely stressed out. So you're gonna really figure out what you wanna do. And I think it's okay, like if you do lost your job, if you're affected, if you're a college student, you're lost, and it's completely okay. You take some time, really think about what you wanna do, really what you wanna do. That's very important. And the other thing people ask me, like location. Well, I don't want to move because I have 2 kids and they're in school. That's completely fine. And I will talk about location a little bit later because this time is very, very special. And there's a lot of constraints, but there are a lot of freedom as well due to the COVID crisis, okay? So once you figure out what you want to do, where you want to live, and I want you guys to do one thing, and this is very holistic now. You're not only thinking, you're going to think that you get the job, you're going to feel it, that you have the job. That's really, really important. I've gone through a lot of training with some top guys, and this to me is extremely important. You need to feel it, that you already have the job. It's not like, okay, oh, I believe I can do it, but I feel really sad and I feel really down, okay? And the feeling is very, 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 very important. So here I'm gonna give you a small anecdote, a small story. I actually, very, very, very lucky. I only interviewed once ever in my life. I mean, not saying for one, like job hunting, one experience. It's not like one company, quite a few companies, but job hunting that time, only one time in my life is right after I came out of school. And after I graduated from Cornell, so I actually, I do need a job, and I was like most of you guys, probably before, I was on H-1B. I did not have, not H-1B, F-1, I did not have a working visa. So when I was at Cornell, I got a phone call. Actually, I submitted to a management consulting company, and the consulting company immediately, 2 people called me and they said, okay, I want to talk to you. And the 2 people, you guess who they are? They are my alumni. Alumni is very, very important. One is from Cornell and one is from Michigan. I went to both schools and they both called me from the same company, different department. Okay, lucky me. However, neither of them give me any job because they said, okay, you're great, but we can't hire you because you can't travel and you don't have working visa. However, that was summer of '95, and 2 months or 3 months later, another phone call came just before I left Cornell campus, and my parents wanted me to move to West Coast, and I actually went to Mountain View and ran an apartment with my friends just to look for a job. And just the day before I left, I got this phone call again from a Cornell alumni saying, okay, now I don't work for the consulting company anymore, and I'm working at a company called Qualcomm. Do you know about Qualcomm? And I'm like, okay, I don't know about Qualcomm, but I know the email Eudora. So anyway, we talked pretty well. And he said, I'm going to fly you from the Bay Area and down to San Diego for a job interview. And eventually I did the interview. I did really well, but there was no job offer. None. No job offer for a long time. Okay. For 2 months, actually. It's a long time for me because I was running out of money. I did not have money. I don't have nothing. I had to move to a basement in San Francisco in Daly City. And the family was very, very nice to me. And I had a car accident. I almost died. Okay. So with that said, but one thing I did at that time, I remember I do Tai Chi, and you know, Tai Chi is energy. And I really pray to the divinity that I already have the job, whichever the job has, and I'm all good, and I'm really, really happy. And that was imagination, but I do the Tai Chi every day. And I think that law of attraction, and a lot of people read that book, Law of Attraction, it's really, really, really important. And during job hunting, you have to feel that you already have the dream job. I cannot emphasize more. And you need to feel you already got it, okay? So I think I had enough, and most people want to hear about, okay, what the techniques, okay? So go. Okay, so I talk about this for, you know, different situations. I'm going to talk about internship as well, because right now I have a lot of interns working for our company, okay? So first, when you look for a job, you can't look for a job yourself. You need help. None of us is alone in this society. You do need help, and you need to network. Networking is a very, very, very popular word. However, networking has a lot of techniques. And before I talk about techniques, again, I'm going to talk about ideology, is we must hold the highest integrity and professionalism, highest, okay? So I'm going to talk about this, right? So networking is not something like, okay, my gosh, today I lost job. I haven't talked to my friends for years, and I'm going to call, and then, you know, it's like, okay, it's like call the people that you haven't really talked and you haven't really, you know, associate with. It's very hard. You need to keep a warm relationship. So networking is about investing into your relationship. Networking is about depositing. You can't get to use your money because you deposit into the bank. You can charge a credit card because you have credit. So networking is about deposit your relationship, okay? And it's extremely important that throughout your life as a student and later on as an adult, you always, I'm not trying to say you live for others, is that you try your best to help others when you can. As small as go do a small errand, as small as getting some food for your grandmother, or helping babysitting the neighbor, either paid or unpaid. It's very, very important. So very simple, being, you know, to be a good networker, I'm just saying that don't be selfish. Don't just think all about yourself. And I think we are all taught this in the society, okay? And I want to emphasize that that's very, very important. So you have a job and later on you got laid off. But if you're a really good worker, and because financial situation that's out of your control, you have great relationship with your boss, ex-colleagues, and the people you interact with the company. Those are the best people you network with. So I know sometimes you also leave your job because you hated your job. It doesn't matter, okay? The networking, number one, I'll tell you the different groups of people. For professional jobs, right now I'm going to talk about college students a little bit later. Professionals is that your colleagues, your coworkers at your previous companies are the best spokesperson for you. And they will make internal referral because they're everywhere in different companies. So try to utilize that relationship. So all I'm saying that no matter you don't like your colleagues and you have conflicts, hold your professional, do well, make friends with them, go out lunch with them, make an impression. Don't just go to work and, oh, okay, I have to pick up the kids and then I leave. I just don't have time, you know. Oh, I have to like really look at the stock market during lunchtime. I'm saying you got spend some time networking with your colleagues, okay? They will know your personality, not only about professionalism, but also personality is very, very important. Okay, so that's number one about networking, it's your colleagues, okay? And for students, I'm gonna just emphasize that get your parents' help, okay? And get your friends' help. Your friends get interns and get your friends. But I will talk more about interns a little bit later, okay? I will dedicate a couple of slides just to the interns, okay? So that's number one, like two. So I'm sorry, I'm not really following the order of the slides. The slides just guideline. I usually like to talk, just like talking, and I have a little bit of guideline so I can refer to. The next group is, of course, your friends, right? If you are working out, you know, you have workout buddies, you know, my husband has a group of friends, they work out all the time and they help each other, okay? If you're in music, you're in the choir, in the church, right? So those relationships beyond work is very important. Of course, you have your alumni, you go to school, doesn't matter. I'm gonna talk about the myths of the school, but doesn't matter, SDSU, Cornell, UC Berkeley, UCSD, any school. Of course, you have school, you go to school, community college, it's fine. You have your alumni and they tend to help you out, especially in the States, alumni really holds a lot. It doesn't matter public school or private school, people help each other. They're very proud. It doesn't matter which school you go. Everybody goes to that school, they're proud of that school. I know people who go to community college, they're proud of their community college, okay? That's very important. The pride of where you're coming from, okay? And also like, you know, and then, you know, you can, in a coffee shop, you know, right now it's very, very difficult, okay? But yeah, okay, sorry. So, and like sometimes you run into people, right? You know, I like folks who follow my WeChat, I like wearing my Michigan skirt, right? So when I wear Michigan skirt, people are like, okay, Ohio State. I meet more Ohio State people than Michigan, just let you know. Okay, they're gonna say, wow, you know, they have a chat with me, right? And sometimes you get in a few minutes conversation. If you lost your job, say, you know, oh my, what do you do for work? And you never know. You may hit a home run for a referral, okay? So just let you know, life is so unpredictable. I know we human beings, our brain, I read I'm not a scientist, okay? But I do read a lot of books about the brain health, and I love brain health. I'm fascinated about our brain and about mindset. One thing our brain is, you know, you worry about the future. Why we're different from animal? We think two difference. One is, so the scientist to correct me, okay, later on, it's okay, she's talking nonsense, but that's my understanding. We're different because we think about the future and we have very good memory. I don't think my dog is worried about future. I don't think my dog hold grudges against the past, okay? So I just, it's fascinating. So we always think about the future. We always remember past, and we really sometimes forget about where we are. And I do daily meditation, and I know it's so hard. I'm in it, in the present, a minute later, I'm somewhere else, and I come back and I'm somewhere else. But when I'm there, I'm very, very, very happy because I'm here, okay? So the thing is about the anxiety level that you could, you know, hold really high. So anyway, so I think I'm distracted a little bit. So let me go back to the networking. Okay, so then I'm like, okay, so join some groups. Okay, the Facebook groups, and now we have Telegram groups. And if you don't want to let people know, like, okay, you lost job, it's completely fine. If I lost job, I don't mind. I tell everybody. I broadcast to everybody. And that's just me. Because the more I tell people, the more people can help me. So it's up to you how you're comfortable is, okay? So anyway, so join groups, and sometimes you can ask, okay, you know, this skill set, is there anybody who looking for jobs? Sometimes you will hit a kind of like stranger refer to you, and I help people. Like he got a job, the hiring, the person who referred, the person who hired him didn't know anything about him, okay? The best person I tell you to refer is your colleagues, and then your alumni, and then people who know you. But sometimes through the third, fourth referral, you can be hired as well, okay? So, and then professional groups, right? If you're an architect, you can join local architect. You know, there's all kinds of accounting association, this and that. Toastmasters, I think, and I know the audience here is a majority of Chinese folks, and because I heavily use WeChat, and I get, I do a lot of daily blogs on WeChat moments, and I also get a lot of help. I do a lot of networking from WeChat groups, and one good example is a couple of days ago, you know, I have this brand new startup, the Nextstream, tech.com, that we teach machine learning. And we have a last minute Zoom open house. My partner is a high school teacher at CCA. So we decided to do an open house to answer people's question. I used WeChat for 8 years. I have thousands of people are my friends, okay? A lot of them I never ever met. And what I never ever did my 8 years of using WeChat is I sent to each individual friend a notice, say, hey, can you please help us share the machine learning, the Zoom open house? That was the first time I did. And I was so moved that pretty much everybody I sent that notice, everybody helped me share. Everybody got back to me. And a lot of people are sharing, and a lot of people put on their moments. And the one parent was joking, I think they were sharing at the private school here. And then a few parents of my friends, they're all sharing. And one parent was joking, this is my 8th time seeing this today. So that's the power of networking. I probably just within less than 24 hours or even less, maybe then less than 12 hours, we got 240 parents and students on the Zoom call, 240. It's amazing. So that's the power of networking. But that's an example because I've been a very heavy blog using moments, and I'm very, very vocal with my political opinion or social opinion or sharing of stories. I consider myself a writer, an amateur writer. I'm really not a good writer, but an amateur. I love writing. So all the things I invested, it's really paying off. But I really wasn't doing this because I knew that I was going to have a startup company that would have the students and parents as my clients. I did it 8 years ago. You think I knew that, right? I did it just because I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. So all I'm saying is whatever you do, you really enjoy it. And then the future is unpredictable. So now I'm coming back to where my train of thoughts is. I think life is very interesting that tomorrow is unknown. So I think we should feel very comfortable that tomorrow is unknown. If tomorrow is all known to you, then it's boring, right? We wake up, tomorrow is unknown. That's what I'm trying to share with you about the brain science. I was, kind of lost a little bit of track of my thoughts, is that we have so much anxiety during job hunting, so much anxiety because the rent has to be paid, the mortgage has to be paid, kids have education costs, and the college is so expensive, so much anxiety. And I just want to let you know that let's take the anxiety away. And I will show you some method along the way. The anxiety needs to go, and you need to feel really good. And you need to feel, and you need to embrace tomorrow. And it's going to be great. And life's going to be so different and so interesting. And that's what I want to share. And that's a foundation of job hunting. Without that foundation, you're going to be stressed out, because this whole journey could be very, very stressful. Okay, there's so much to do. Okay, so I think, yeah, there are other recruiting websites like Handshake. If you're in school, I know Michigan, Cornell, Stanford, every single school, they have their own website. And if you're alumni, I would encourage you to join. So yeah, if you're in a co-op or fraternity, sorority, your alumni, those join, right? If you're high school, a PTA, the parents join, okay? So it is networking, yeah. So at the end, we only have 24 hours. We do need to sleep. So I'm not saying that, you do everything. Just pick what you want to do. Or I'm saying that do whatever you want to do and you really enjoy it. that kind of the group and the friendship could be the, you know, helping you with job hunting down the road. Okay, so I am not going down. Okay, where to find jobs? Okay, so right now the professional social media is LinkedIn. I know a lot of us don't, especially first generation Chinese Americans. We are so addicted to WeChat. And I'm the one myself too. I use a lot of it, right? But you do need open account for LinkedIn if you really want a job. And I do encourage you to have a Facebook or Telegram. Right now, we're just opening up Telegram account. It's important, okay? And the Facebook is a diversity of friends, not just hang out with the Chinese, the first generation Chinese, because the second generation even don't use. So we are hanging out among ourselves. Okay, that's completely fine. But I think you should open up. So let's gonna end the slideshow right here. I'm gonna go to LinkedIn and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my background, okay? So here we go. And okay, so LinkedIn, you can see my LinkedIn, okay? It's very, very important you update your LinkedIn profile. Extremely important, okay? You need to have a great title here, okay? So right now, because I'm really into starting company, into educational company, so I put a co-founder at the Next Stream Technical Institute and Chief Growth Officer at LO7. So I'll show you where the websites are. This is my second company, and a lot of parents probably visited before through the Zoom. And we have the Zoom opening recording, and if you guys want to check it out, that's fine. We teach machine learning and robotic automation and computer engineering, but right now the first track is machine learning, okay? So go. And the second one is this company. I did not found this, okay? It's my younger brother who has a PhD from MIT Media Lab. He founded this company called LO7. It's It's a business to business. It's not business to consumer. They are the largest English digital curriculum publisher for English, for K-12, okay, for K-12. So what I did with them is I have a company that I hire, manage global tutors since 2016, is to collaborate. So my company exclusively, all the tutors working for me exclusively tutor for LO7. So what they do is in the school, they use their curriculum at night. It was only for China market. The kids from the school, they will get together, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 students together to working with American tutors, on not global tutors. 80% are in America, and they review what they have learned. So this is my project. So the 2 websites that I spearheaded is the one is on the blog. It's also linked. So I have a dedicated team who writing articles, and we about 8,000 clicks each month, mainly for the ESL teachers. And right now the teachers are suffering because a lot of schools are, especially the enrichment schools in the States are shutting down, right? You can't get together anymore. So, and the teachers don't get paid. Public school teachers don't get paid in the summer. So they're looking for a job. I'm very, very, very proud to provide job opportunities for American teachers. Okay, now global, okay? And then this one, strictly the websites for recruiting. So at the peak, when we hire a lot, COVID does have a huge impact on the current business right now, but when we peak, we get 200 applicants a day at this website, 200 applicants a day, okay? So I'm very, very, very proud of what I have done, okay? So that's what I wrote here. But I see my colleague, a lot of them are at Qualcomm. Prior to that, I work at Qualcomm. They would say ex-Qualcomm, okay? So if you are working in a very big company like Amazon or Google or something, and you're not, looking for a job, those companies, unless you want to leave yourself, those are good companies. But there are Intels and other companies, right? People will say ex-Intel, if they have the branding name, that will help you out, okay? So that's number one. Your profile, this is very, very important that people, and you need to put a professional picture here. I think mine is semi-casual, but I think it's okay. And the picture looks like you. Some people put, a lot of us are aging, which is reality, and put a picture that 20 years younger, and that I don't suggest it. Put a picture that look like you, okay? So, and then what you go to is you will Then you have to write yourself an about. And the about is tricky. It's very, very important. You need to highlight just a few sentences about who you are. And that's very tricky. So what I did is, what I want to highlight right now is founder or co-founder of tech educational companies. And then I want to highlight my skill sets. So my skill sets are ranging from product management. My first job was in product management group at Qualcomm. So then I moved to business development, program management, and project management. They're very similar. Okay, those buzzwords that you have experience. Engineering operation. When I left Qualcomm, I was director of engineering operations. And then I also used the cost modeling. And I put two consulting companies that I worked with. I was trained by part of the PwC, the consulting company that my alumni brought my resume because the whole team were doing consulting at Qualcomm and they left the consulting company. So I was trained by them for a couple of years, okay? And they sold it to PwC, just like a McKinsey. People who can be trained by consulting company, I think it's a great experience. I think, you work 80 hours a week, but when you're young, it's worth it. I love it. So dynamic, okay? I love it. Okay, and then before I left, I was working with Boston Consulting Group on the cost cutting, okay? Boston Consulting Group, okay? So those are the buzzwords of big companies that you're associated with. Then I talk about my projects. I led the world's first, on behalf of Qualcomm, the first smartphone, the CDMA. Okay, there's two sentences. Oh, I think I lost one word. I should add it back. Okay, it's here. I think this is more important. I led the first smartphone launch on behalf of Qualcomm. Okay, very, very important, okay? Then, actually I was, working with some top guy he went to Intel, now he left Intel. I think you guys know who I'm talking about, okay? So, and I led the world's first CDMA location-based launch, okay? With China Unicom, okay? And then I led the development of the global recruiting for the website I talk about. I also led the first Android pad. So the first smartphone and the first Android pad with Lenovo on behalf of Qualcomm. So then I talk about what my passion is. My passion is taken ambiguous. I love ambiguous idea. I love chaos, okay? I'm in profession for project management. I'm not a very good planner, just let you guys know. I love chaos. And I take an ambiguous and turn into concrete deliverables. I love ambiguity, I love chaos as I can see pass through a dark forest, okay? This is exactly how I was doing in the professional, so in my professional career. So you wanna talk using a sentence to talk about your passion or something similar. And then, I also talk about if you have social involvement, okay? I'm sitting on the board on the anti-bully initiatives. I also have deep passion to contribute to women's equity and to the interest of underprivileged people, okay? So if you have, you're a professional, you're really into photography, you play ping pong, you can emphasize a couple of sentences here. I think as human beings, working is great, right? You also want to have some other interests, or you love reading. It's okay. You can talk about it, and then you can highlight each experience here. I also would encourage, I saw some people's profile, they do not put their bachelor's degree. I think that's a no, because this shows your authenticity. And I'm very proud I went to school. I went to school in China. I went to school in Zhejiang University. I have a bachelor's in foreign languages. I major in English, okay? I'm in high tech for many years, but I really never coded a single line of my life, okay? Just be very straightforward. I led engineering projects, and at the peak, it's like 150 engineers under my project engineer at Qualcomm. It was, a engineering leadership position, but no, I'm not an engineer by nature, okay? And I'm not ashamed. I don't want to hide my background. So it doesn't matter your chemistry background and now you are in IT. You need to be authentic to tell people. Even you go into a school that doesn't have a name, it's completely fine. Or even you went to community college, it's okay. It is really okay. So I encourage, and some people even want to put high school, that's great. But I think minimum you need, if you have a bachelor degree, put it in. which school, what major, and then you go up. I did not graduate from University of Michigan. I went there. That's why I say I have an MA I studied there. I transferred to Cornell. I got my master in economics, okay? So you need to have a complete profile starting with a bachelor's degree, and whichever school put it there or whatever major, fine. Yeah, I was at working Cornell. I was working with engineer all the time, and I have very, very good memory. And I can remember like, okay, the architecture, the dependency, very challenging issues. If engineers, I ask a lot of questions, and then I remember I can talk to them about it. And some people never knew I had a bachelor's in English. They always think I have a computer science degree or double E. No, I don't. Okay, I just very honest with them. That's completely fine. So, okay, so so here's the kind of you need to beef up. You need to improve your LinkedIn, okay? Then there's some tricks about LinkedIn is you can add people, right? So you can search. I'm just gonna do a random search. I would try to search, I don't know. Okay, yeah, I was talking to this person. I got connected. I don't know whether he accepted. Okay, yeah, I sent an invitation, right? So basically, when you send an invitation, you need to add a note saying who you are, why you are connecting. So I think just to be prepared, even though you probably at this, some of you maybe have a job and be thinking about looking for a job, changing job in the future. You don't need to find a job right now. I still think you should start investing in your LinkedIn connection right now. Don't wait until last minute, start adding people, too late. Okay, so you add a couple people a day or a couple people a week. You add all your colleagues. All the colleagues you know, you add them. You know why? Later on, they quit and they're gonna give you an update. I'm at Facebook, I'm at Google. I'm like, okay, that's great. The more the colleagues go into the top companies, I'm talking about here conventional, you know, I'm not talking about starting a company here. I'm talking about looking for a job, okay? So I'm talking about conventional approach is the more of your colleagues go into those top companies or go into a variety of companies, the better you are because you have the network. I know all the companies, especially the Googles, the Facebook. I help people place job and train them and get the top jobs, you know, at the Google and the Facebook. It's all through internal referral. There's no job, especially, you know, not entry level. I'm talking about that you have some years of working experience. Rarely you get a job unless you have exactly matching experience without a referral. Majority of the jobs are done through referral. So you better treat your neighbors nice. You better treat your colleagues nice, okay? You're on Zoom, you're gonna just join on time, say hello, smile. You got it, you gotta be firm, okay? So it's extremely important that you connect your colleagues ASAP through, and don't wait too late, okay? And then the next thing you LinkedIn I talk about, you connect with your alumni through schools and through the same major, same department, connect with your professors, connecting them now, okay? So that's one thing. The other trick is if you are in the job market, which I'm not right now, one thing I would suggest you do is you go into, did you see me? Okay, then you go into the settings and privacy, and then what you do is you going down, you can set, right? Okay, then you go down, see, only the recruiters. Let recruiters know you're open to opportunities. Once you are made that open, if you turn this on, okay, you're gonna get recruiters call. If your skill sets match, you will get a phone call, okay? So that's very important if you're searching. But if you're saying, okay, I'm already in the current company, I'm thinking of leave, you can turn it on. Only recruiters can see your jobs. They can see your So I can't say 100% that your own company recruiter won't see it, but I'm pretty confident. I think you should be safe. Yeah, I wouldn't too worry about it. So, but I think you can read it and find out whether your current company's recruiter can see your I think probably will, or maybe LinkedIn has approach to block them I am not sure, okay? So you need to do some research. So anyway, how to use LinkedIn? There's a lot of features, and there's also paid premium. I think it's like $29, $19, I forgot, you know. I paid a little bit just to play around because sometimes I look for people, I need to pay as a company. With all said, is you can learn, what I'm telling you is you can learn anything on internet. And some of you have children, they're teenagers and college students, they can learn, they are learning everything on the internet. My son, I consider is a top chef, okay? To me, he's a top chef, okay? He's in computer science major in college, but he cooks really well. I never ever cook. Like, I really don't cook because I'm too busy. I know that one thing I want to share with all the working parents, especially the working mothers, you have a high paying job and you come here, you want to have this top profile kids, want to go to top schools. And then you're going to make top notch dinner. I think it's a lot to ask. And you can't be doing the best of the best in the world, right? So I consciously decide that I'm not gonna make dinner for my children, and I do a lot of carry out. I'm lucky to have my mother. With all said, my son, both of my boys cook really well, and they start cooking very young, and they learn how to cook from YouTube. YouTube is your best teacher. Go on there. You can learn anything you want to learn. I just want to tell you. I think you can learn all the stuff I'm telling you here. Learn from YouTube, okay? And so this is about LinkedIn. You learn more about LinkedIn, okay? Yeah, so let's see. So that's LinkedIn, and we go back. Okay, I think it can still see it. And okay, we talk about the different groups, right? So here you go. When you are involved in groups, I would like to, encourage you to join like professional groups, like engineering groups. So I talk about architect groups, and we tend to, again, I'm sorry, I belong to American Chinese community, and I belong to the first generation, and I do spend a lot of time networking with them. But I also see a lot of strengths among us, and I also see some weakness, right? The weakness, we tend to join more of the groups like, okay, real estate, or where to buy the rental house, or we join the groups for a stock pick. I mean, which is all great, right? But I think in addition to that, I would encourage you to join some groups in Facebook as well to your profession trade, engineering, machine learning. Some people are data scientists. I would encourage you guys join those groups. It's very, very important. And sometimes people post jobs there, okay? It's always good to be on top of things, okay? Yeah. Okay, so we talk about LinkedIn. A premium package I would encourage you to buy if you're looking for jobs, so you can message to more people, okay? And we talk about that, connect with your alumni. Okay, we talk about, the resume, right? So I'm telling you, yeah, recently I helped folks looking for jobs and getting, applying for jobs at Google. It's a great company. And, some people's profile, they can be product manager. They can also be program manager or technical program manager, and they can also be engineering manager, right? So you get, oh my gosh, Google has so many jobs. So which resume do I send? So here I'm telling you that it's a good question. Do I send 3 copies? No. You only give 1 resume to the company, 1 profile. And I showed you that my recruiting company, I showed to you is here go. Yeah, so here, right? It's all in the database. I set up to 200 a day. Everything, it's automated. It has a system. We have algorithm reading resumes, everything. So you need to use keyword, 1 copy of the resume. Okay, so you're not gonna go and saying, okay, I'm applying for a product manager, I use this resume. I'm applying for program manager, I'm using that resume. But some smaller companies, only 1 position, you can tailor it. So I would do a generic resume if you're applying to companies like Google and Facebook. You Google allows you to apply for multiple positions. They have no issue at all. You can interview with multiple positions. Okay, it's a very open environment. Okay, they take a long time. Google does take a long time, but that's an advantage, right? You being rejected by one position doesn't mean that you cannot get an interview for another position. Amazon, I'm not an expert in Amazon, but I can only say I heard if you are turned down, usually you probably won't be encouraged to apply job within a year. Okay, but I may be wrong, and people who are here know Amazon probably much better. So different companies have their different culture of hiring culture. So I encourage you. So how to write a good resume that can target different areas? It's really you want to put your key experience, and then in the summary you want to say, you just like what I said, I have product management, business management, project management. You need to highlight a few words. So if you're shooting for 3 jobs, you can say engineering manager, software development / product management / TPM. It's completely okay to put in the title. But then you talking about a project. What the project, like what I did for the leading the smartphone for Qualcomm, I would highlight what I exactly did. What did I did is I worked with HTC and Microsoft and Qualcomm internal team commercialized first smartphone using 7500 MSM 7500 chipset with one mobile 6.5. I remember for which carrier? Okay, Verizon. Okay, so you need to highlight and kind of relate to the other companies, stakeholders. So those it has to be really clean. And then people ask you questions about the experience, you can talk about it. You can like, oh, then I don't know, I don't remember. There's no way. You have to be trained. You have to get yourself trained before you do your first interview. Along the way, until you get the top job offer, you need to be trained along the way. I cannot emphasize, I know some people and go interview, maybe got lucky, and got a job, and sometimes they're not lucky, but training will pay off. It's very important you train yourself, okay? Or you have other people to train you. So I will talk about the whole process a little bit later, but that's resume. You do need to ask for professional editing. If you're not a native speaker, I am not myself, I make all the mistakes myself, and you do need professional editing, okay? It's very, very, very important. So then, I talk about internal referral. Pretty much all companies emphasize internal referral. I talk about it, right? You need to get yourself referred. And for senior positions, it's much more important than ever, right? So, and the most people is your colleagues, the people who work with you, people know you. Or I can be referred by HTC because I was working with HTC. I could refer by my counterpart at Microsoft. I could refer by Nokia, right? Because I worked with Nokia, okay? So, and Legend, right? Legend Computer in China. So that referral is very important. And so I'm gonna go back to the LinkedIn again. And I think what you can do is I'm gonna go to the home, and I'm gonna, here, let me see. There's a portion of it. Okay, here, compliments, skills, additional, okay. Do you see? So when you go to LinkedIn, you said add a profile, selections, or request a recommendation. I strongly recommend that you get recommendations from the colleagues or the partners. The partners that maybe your company, you're the vendor, you service them, like we were vendor to HTC, or you're the client, they service you, okay? So the all internal, colleagues, or a professional group you're sitting on, like if you're leading a lot of volunteer at the PTA, it's fine, right? Or I do a lot of yoga, right? If I think I can get a recommendation from the studio owner, and because I bring so many clients, whatever, I do so well, so I grew with the yoga studio. So anything, you can get you need to get a recommendation. So I would definitely get a professional recommendation, and I would ask people, so not going down again, to endorse. I haven't really been in job market for a long time. So my endorsement is very limited because I didn't really reach out. You can ask, hey, can you endorse me? Can you endorse me? And they will say, hey, this skill set, that skill set, okay? So that's all your credibility, and it's a public information. And you know, I think folks like worried about privacy, but I tell you, these days is no privacy at all. If somebody wants to find somebody, somebody will find somebody. And LinkedIn, Facebook, WeChat, and WeChat we can use the fake names, but no, LinkedIn you cannot use fake names. Yeah, Facebook it's a little bit tough, right? So, but it's very helpful. I mean, right now I'm networking. I'm looking for a company who are doing valuation services, and everybody just like they linked in the company or the person from the valuation company to me. They said, okay, go check out the LinkedIn. So when I LinkedIn them, I email them, I send my LinkedIn profile. Professional thing, everybody's LinkedIn each other, okay? So, you know, good for Microsoft, okay? So, okay, so that's it. I'm doing ads for Microsoft here. Okay, so internal referrals, extremely important recommendation, endorsement, you need to get everything ready, okay? And, okay, so this is another thing. You need to know more people in a powerful position. And if they're in powerful position, and I know somebody got a referral, internal referral at Google, senior VP, and a president of a division, and not the CEO, but next level, because they worked together for many years ago for a key project, okay? And once that person referred, my gosh, basically it's a green light. And HR is like scratching their head to find a position for this referral. Yeah, it's powerful, right? But here again, so I'm like, you know, we are all engineers and a lot of us are low level. It's completely fine. I am very respectful for the groups, communities, and you know what I'm talking about. Some communities are very powerful. They help each other, they rise up. And I don't think as a group, we're not there yet. We're getting there, but we're not there yet, okay? We're more individual contributor. I see. Why? Because 5,000 years history, or many thousand since Confucius, we are all into 科举制. So we are all into competition. We're all into award for ourselves, okay? So even though we got into work and we really do a good job, we're very, very good workers, but we are not trained by team collaboration. We're not trained by ideologies of helping others to go up. And sometimes I know, like, oh my gosh, we went to the same hometown, we went same year. Man, this guy is senior VP, a director, who am I? Oh my gosh. I'm not trying to talk about the flaws of myself and my own community, but I know it exists. And I recognize it, and here I want people to be conscious of it, and let's make changes. If I know an ABC or Asian American, you know, as first generation, and Mr. Chen, you know, is doing really well, I should be happy and make friends with them. And later on, he will know you, and later on, he will refer you, okay? If you're on top, if you're a Mr. Chen on top, pull your own folks, if they're qualified, pull them up. It takes both ways, okay? So here I'm going to tell you some experience. And the book, you guys all, many of you read, Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg of Facebook, right? The book called Lean In. Yes, she talked about women not leaning enough. I used to work for a high-tech company. I used to lead very high profile projects. And I used to lead a lot of meetings. And I tell you, my own experience is I held the meeting and my own people, Chinese engineers, are sitting in the corner of the conference room. They take a little notebook, they're sitting so behind. And all the people who are sitting next to me in software, I have to say, a lot of Indian colleagues. Their English is great. It's great. They're very fluent. And they are sitting right next to me. They're asking great questions. They are leaning in. And that's why we have the CEOs of Microsoft. We have the CEO of the Google, Indian, ethnic Indian, background, which they deserve it because they lean in. They lean in. Lean in is so important. And that's the whole story about the Google president, one of the division head doing that referral. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great, because that was my suggestion. I pushed the applicant really hard. Applicant's like, oh my gosh, he's so on top. How he's 10 years ago now? Why would he not, refer me? It took a while. It took about a week. And the email from HR came, somebody referred. And it's just green light, okay? It's very important you lean in. And I know we first generation immigrants, our English is not that good. And sometimes we carry accent, we're not fluent, it's completely okay, but you lean in, right? So another example I held, it just a few days ago, when I held a Zoom open house, I was just sharing with WeChat friends and stuff. And then my co-founders, they're different diversity. I love diversity, right? We have a Caucasian American, we have a Persian American, 2 men and 1 woman, and Chinese woman. Okay, this is a great founding team, a great diversity. But initially I have students right now, they're all ABCs because I recruited them, right? And we haven't really gone full commercial. So it's very, very small scale. I recruited them. So I have an intern there, and he's Caucasian with Jewish background, a great friend with my son. And he mentioned, oh my gosh, your student lack diversity. Your student body doesn't have the diversity, right? So, but the TA, we have very good TA, a good team, TA and instructors. And, oh, that team have great diversity. And that struck me in, right? So last minute, I put that flyer onto Facebook. I put on their Facebook page. One is the Indian colleague, and he's a VP at a big company, and we know each other very well. One is it's a South Asian, very good girlfriend. Okay, so I put on their Facebook. One is neighbor, 2 neighbors, Caucasian neighbors, and I'm trying to get diversity. And of course, right now, Asian Americans are more into STEM, into machine learning. So when we joined, I saw a couple of my Indian friends and the Bangladesh friends are there, they're already, and they joined really early. So when I pull in this, sharing this grid, I saw them. At the end, when my co-partner, Mr. Morrow, finished the presentation, who was asking the questions? I mean, you're gonna go see the recording, and it's all of them in the beginning. They like, boom, 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 boom. They will ask questions. I'm like, man. So I tell you, is sometimes they are working hard. You can say, oh, I work so hard. Why am I not getting promoted? Why am I not a director? Why am I not a VP? Because you need other people to push you up. So I cannot emphasize more, and I'm getting carried away talking about this. It's extremely important. You support the people. You really be nice to them. And when people get promoted, you congratulate them. You really think it's great they're getting promoted, and one day they will help you. Okay? Never ever be jealous. Never ever be jealous. I have a great friend, a friend's friend. He is going to make so much money because Mai Jingfu is going public. And it's just so much money. I don't know even how to count how much money because they're going public, right? I'm so happy for him, so happy. And I want all my friends to be as rich as him. Then that'd be great. They're gonna pull me up, right? Now I have a startup. I can go there, ask for money, right? Isn't that good? You have friends all doing better than you, right? That you need to think about that and never victimize yourself and think you're low and you're not as good. Okay, you think, okay, that's great. I have great friends. So they're gonna help me out, okay? It's very, very important. Okay, so that's a lot here. Okay, so now come down to how to prepare interview. prepare interview is about prepare your own story. Really prepare your own story. You need to think about your own story, especially very, very hard for people who work for 20 years, 25 years. I mean, say if you start working at 22, you work for 25 years, you're 47. And if you start working at 22, you work for 30 years, you're 52. Can Americans retire at 52? No way. No, they can't. Because at 52, you have a daughter, 15-year-old, you have a son, 20-year-old in college, you have a mortgage, and you keep upgrading your house. American dream, right? Oh, I start with my townhouse, 1,000 square foot, then I moved to 2,000. Now I want to do really good. I have a 4,000 square foot house. I have a big mortgage, right? So it's very, very hard. And a lot of them, spouse doesn't work. It doesn't matter man or woman. One person works and the other person doesn't work. And the situation still in the society, most of men are working and women are not working. So I'm talking for general Americans that one lost that very good job at one job at which is he is a bread earner or she's a bread earner. It's very difficult. And you're used to it. And I have a teenager. We always talk about, when you get a good life, like when we can go out, now we can't go out anymore. It's hard. It's just really hard. Before going to Starbucks and sitting down, just have a casual, just drink. Now you can't go there. It's very, very hard. Once you have a house with a view, with a pool, and your kids are in private school, you spend $1,000 on this, that, and buying clothes for Lululemon, go to yoga studio and play golf. Man, when you lose job, it's very hard. You don't have insurance. This country just doesn't have the social security for all of us. That's pose more challenges people who are above 40, 45, 50. It's very, very difficult. So here you go, you lost a job and now you're going to look for jobs like, oh my gosh, I went to so many companies, I did so many things. What am I going to do? Oh my gosh, what am I talking about, right? So you need to go deep, empty here. You need to write down everything you did. Write down, in this company, what is your main job? In this company, if you have a supporting spouse and a supporting spouse knew what you did, that's great. If you're a single parent, maybe talking to some colleagues and get some refresh memory, you need help to put down your own story. And don't be afraid of asking help. And that's the whole theme I'm going to talk about here, networking, asking for help. Because all I'm talking about here, the fundamental is team. It takes a team to make it, okay? So you need to talk about your own story. So here you go. Is if you're doing for technical, like technical job, so a lot of us in high tech, you need to think about like, if the job is looking for, say, cloud experience, so write down all the stuff you did for cloud. If you really never did it, you did it very little bit, forget about it, okay? But sometimes you could train yourself. You can get an AWS certificate. You can learn about Google Cloud Computing, and you can learn about Microsoft, the cloud, whatever the software, I think it's Azure. I learned about Azure, whatever. So you can get a certificate, but if you only have a certificate, you don't have experience, it's very difficult. That's just the way we have a saying in Chinese, the 隔行如隔山. This is it. I have my old boss and got laid off, a senior director, and he came to me. He said, Dandan, can you help me get into biotech? And we're in chipset. And he want to go work for Illumina or the biotech company, because we're in San Diego, it's all biotech companies. And I tried my best. I got all the connections for him. I don't think he made it because he's so embedded in this chipset division and there's no way. So that's very difficult, but sometimes you can do it, especially when you're young. Especially when you're young, one way of doing it is go get an MBA. You can change your industry. MBA is where you change your career, okay? And I will talk more about for the interns and the college grads a little bit later. So, but if you have relevant technical skills, you need to put down apply for job, the relevant technical skill. That's very important. You need to have relevant technical skills. So if somebody, I knew that Google their one of the jobs, they're looking for Android. Of course, Android's right. And so if you have Android, they're going to interview you first, right? So, and then we recommend somebody that, you know, has the chipset experience, but doesn't have the apps processor experience. So it's a little bit hard. So especially for senior jobs, the technical relevance is very, very important, okay? And then I said you need to use a lot of like, you know, verbs, like I did this, I led this, I worked with this, kind of, and use the language and ask some good questions about when you know, like prepare also for some questions on the technical area, you know, in terms of what they're looking for. And sometimes they won't share of what they're doing, but you can still ask and they think, oh man, you're smart, you know that area. But for youngsters, young interns and entry-level engineers, there are a lot of coding questions. And I put the website here. I'm gonna go here to, because I may not share all the slides with you guys, so I would do here chat. And here. Okay, so I put all this website for you guys, okay? You can grab it. I think, do I need to go in open one just to show you where it is? Let me see here. Okay, let's do one. Okay. Those websites I give to you is you can learn to pass technical interviews. It's very important. Yes. So even for senior jobs, if you're interview engineering manager, you need to pass technical interviews. We hire a lot of interns at the Nextstream, the machine learning company, and you know, teaching machine learning, and we do a lot of interviews. And it doesn't matter what your background is. You have data science in the top school, Columbia, Stanford. It doesn't really matter, or Berkeley. Pretty much, we saw your background. What we ask you is, I have a survey here. You can tell. Okay, so I'm gonna go in just to show you what we ask, just to give you an understand. It's what we are asking. Okay, so we have internships. So what I do is, we have gonna have a new website. The website that I'm very similar to LO7, we're gonna have the recruiting website, everything automated. Right now it's not automated. But what I'm asking you to, because it's a technical job, I'm gonna ask you to which major. And I tell you, some company do. I hired a lot of people so my hiring started at Qualcomm. I rose very, very, very quickly. Within 8 years from entry-level job, I became a director. Very, very fast. It's a fast track. I started right out of school, and senior analyst, you know, program manager or manager, senior manager, and I became a director, okay, very quickly. So at early 30s, 32 or 33, I was the director, and I was already start hiring all the time. So I'm very, very, very experienced in hiring, okay? And later on, I worked with LO7, with my brother's company. I travel, in addition to build all this infrastructure for their global expansion, I went to China every 2 months. A lot of my friends know that I travel to China all the time. I help them hire top jobs, the CMOs, and we interview the CTO together, and HRs and manager, product managers, and so the hiring I'm very, very familiar with. Okay, just so what I'm gonna do here is okay. So go, and for technical jobs, you can click other. You don't need to have a computer science, so long as you have. It doesn't matter. I tell you, doesn't matter. And for interns, it really doesn't matter which level. Okay. And then I'll tell you, availability to us is very important for internship. Okay, for full-time, of course, it's full-time. And then here you go now. We're gonna ask for STEM education is whether you have taught. This to us is important. So when all the data coming in, if I look at it, you had never taught it versus you taught a lot, I will give people who taught a lot experience if I'm hiring for an instructor, okay? However, and we are looking for a lot of folks doing STEM related curriculum. If people say never, I would not pay big attention. If people say a lot, will definitely get kind of like sum up, okay? And then we talk about, active coding. Yes, people say I'm gonna 4 years, and now pretty much I don't think we will get a job. Okay, sorry to say. And then which programming language? We're looking for Python for sure. That's basic for now, okay? And then different types of apps. And then, okay, this is very, very, very important. It's machine learning. We're gonna ask people whether you have machine learning packages that you are very familiar with. Okay, a lot of interns have familiar with TensorFlow. Okay, so and hardware experience, because we play with hardware. So if you do have, so Arduino and Raspberry Pi, it's a plus, right? Then most people say I could 555. They're just like, oh, I can work independently. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so once we get that, we get a lot of the applicants. We look at together and we filter out. We write a nice email. And I'm sorry, there are quite a few folks have applied. We have not got a chance because we haven't put a solid plan together for fall. But still, I apologize, but we'll get back to you guys. We do a group review. We look at all the resume together. We look at all the results together. And then we do group interview. And most companies, they do one-to-one. For us, with a small company and 2 founders, we do together. And bingo, the moment you join on the Zoom, it's 30 minutes. I never book a meeting more than 30 minutes. And this is probably the longest meeting I'm booking. I usually meet with people 30 minutes a block, okay? And the moment it got on it, Mr. Morrow, my partner, just throw in coding questions. Okay, we look at your resume, background, all good. And if you can pass, you can pass. That's very, very hard for the, so that's why, like, it doesn't matter you're Berkeley or Columbia or Stanford. Do I care about your degree? It looks great. But if you can't pass coding, you can't pass coding. I have students from not very famous school, because we here again, I'm sorry, I know majority of the audience today are first generation Chinese. And so I am going to talk about this again, is we value the name, the reputation of colleges so much. I think it's an overkill. I myself, okay, and that's why I'm like, okay, maybe I shouldn't share my recording, because some folks gonna slaughter me saying that, oh my gosh, her son went to top schools and now she's trashing the top schools. Okay, if you can get in, that's okay. That's great. If you cannot get in, or you choose not to go, you don't want to pay for it, a regular state college for computer science and EE is completely fine, because you can learn a lot of things outside of school. You can practice what you have learned. The top genius coders doesn't necessarily have a top degree, and they can pass the interviews. That's the most important. You pass the interviews, okay? So here people go, oh, I go to college, so I can network. That's great. You go to college, you network. That's it. Yeah, you network, right? So the thing is, you need know that I am hiring. You need to know the problem is a lot of people don't know the job opportunities. So once you know about it, we are treating you all equally. And okay, so talk about the senior folks now. You think that people are in their 40s and 50s looking for a job, they're gonna take a look at where you went to school for undergraduate? Forget about it. They probably won't care at all, right? But if you go to USC and they have the alumni, the children go to Michigan, say, everybody say go blue. That's an add-on. But that's not going to decide you whether you get the job. It's whether you get an internal referral, whether you can pass the interview, okay? So there are 2 things you need to overcome. First, you need to get the resume into the hiring manager. That's the networking, the teamwork. And then the second is real McCoy. It's real. It's also the very good. It's your skills, right? Your communication skills, your interview skills, your technical skills will get you the job, okay? I have a humanities major. I know I have Cornell alumni here, and some of them got laid off here, and they are joining today and in hospitality industry. I know I'm focusing too much on high tech. I'm going to talk a little bit about non-high tech a little bit later, okay? But right now, my presentation is geared for high tech, okay? Okay, so go. Okay, so now we talk about the interviews, right? So interviews, there's a saying that people say, okay, I first first love, like when you, like you fall in love at the first sight, right? Interview is the same thing. It's when you go on, the first impression, the 30 seconds is very important. So you have to really prepare. So how do you, there are two things. I talk about technical skills and now I talk about soft skills, right? Soft skills, here you go. Okay, identify some key projects or team you led when you involved or you were involved. So you need to talk about that, okay? And leadership skills, okay? Then highlight experience, right, per job requirements. We talk about it. If they're asking for program manager, even though you're an engineering manager, man, you better talk about, oh, I put a schedule together. I led a schedule together. I mitigate the risk. I did a presentation. I have a very good plan. I aligned the goals among the different stakeholders. So those kind of language you need to throw in, even though you were an engineering manager, you were not a technical program manager or product manager, but you need to highlight the duties as if you were a technical program manager, which you're interviewed for, okay? So that's kind of the, both on the packaging you need to do, okay? And then, okay, so yeah, so engineering, I talk about different projects, and then at, you need to prepare questions for different areas, right? And we talk about leadership, the job functions. They always ask you, what's the most difficult person you have worked? Like, what's your failure? What's your weakness? What's your strengths? All this buzz interview question, you can get all of them on YouTube. And I'm not going to list anything here, a whole list of it. Get them on YouTube. You will find them, okay? And you need to prepare. And if you are interviewing with a company like Amazon, they're going to say, hey, what's the 14 principles? You better memorize the Amazon 14 principles before you talk to Amazon, right? And if you interview with Google, and you better know, they're going to ask you, what's your favorite Google product? The same thing. If you never use Facebook and you want to interview for Facebook, forget about it. Okay, so you better use their products before you go interview it, right? So I think it's very important. So there's a lot of things like you can't really say, I would do my last minute crashes, crash course. It's very difficult. You need to be well-rounded. You need to be curious. You need to be interested in different things, not just work or stock market one thing or WeChat. You need to go on people, like when Stanford interview, they're gonna ask you, on the essays, college, they're gonna ask you, what's your favorite song? Of course, for the ABCs, a lot of them grew up with music and they don't say it. And for us, the first generation, for example, if you go back to the first, for graduate school, I don't know what's the first, the song, the favorite song, okay? So you need to be curious. You need to be exploring your life to be more well-rounded. It's very important, okay? So for Netflix, okay? I'm talking about FAANG a lot because FAANG are hiring, right? Just the reality they are hiring. It is very sad that they're just the FAANG and the Tesla, so the FAANG and the T's, they're hiring. It's just the reality. So for Netflix, they have a very famous culture deck. And for management, they're very interesting company into a very, I won't say flexible, but very self-motivated culture. They let you to motivate yourself. Now many companies have like, or you can take vacations. They started, you can take unlimited vacation long time ago. So I read their deck many times because I was helping my brother's company to re-engineer themselves. Okay, so if you're interviewing with Netflix, you need to know about their culture, okay? So you need to know yourself, you need to know the company you're interviewing for, okay? You need to do a lot of research with the public company, the private company, how many employees, what the products, what the service, where they're making money, who's the investor. And there's a lot of websites like Crunchbase, the Capital IQ, somebody just shared that with me. And there's private company, you can find a lot of information. So you need to do a lot of research to know them, know yourself, okay? And then you need to know about your accomplishments, what you did. Here you go. Again, going back to first generation American or first generation Chinese immigrants, is we are taught our culture is so modest. And if you don't feel like I'm boasting, right? You don't feel like you're talking up.
I'm not asking you to fabricating anything. I want you to be honest with yourself, but I want you to kind of really think about your accomplishment. A lot of things you did, you don't think they worth mentioning. Sometimes they do worth mentioning, especially for low-level engineers. Like a bug you fix, you know, a challenge that you guys a product you're trying to design, and the very, very last minute, and product management keep changing. And those things like day-to-day stressful things you can think about, and you did really well. So I really want you to go back and think about what you have done. And surprisingly, okay, my son is writing application for college application. Like, okay, what I didn't do anything. Like the first thing, like I didn't do anything. Okay, he did a lot. He did so much. Yeah, he did not win award that, you know, worth mentioning, a big award. But he did a lot of things that's worth mentioning. So you think about what you have done, okay? And then you also, people gonna ask you about what your weakness, right? You think about what is your really weakness. Then you're gonna say, okay, I don't really wanna talk about my weakness. Like you don't want people really know you are weak. But it's completely too okay to show that you're weak, right? My biggest weakness is I'm always late because I'm so aggressive in estimating the schedule. And I used to live work very, very closely, 10 minutes. And in the first 9 o'clock meeting, I'm always there 9:10. Okay, I'm always overestimating it, or you know, underestimating whatever the time to get into a meeting. So now with Zoom, I'm much better. I'm always on time now. And Zoom is funny that we're all on time now, because if you're like, okay, I'm looking at 6:30, if I started at, you know, 6:35, everybody will be really upset because everybody is joining on time, right? This is good for Zoom meeting. That's really good. And then if you are in a special tool, it's like, okay, do you know Jira, like software management? Do you know Salesforce? Do you know Splunk? And do you know Trello? Like a lot of tools, like a product management, or you do CAD, you know, your specific areas. Like if you know to design hardware, they have specific software or process, the tool related question you need to know, okay? So you need to prepare the technical skill, the coding skills, and also now talk about non-technical areas like hospitalities is basically you know, you gonna most difficult customer, right? If you're a lobby, you're in the manager in the managing a big hotel, your customers are your clients, the most challenging clients. And how do you deal with like last minute refund, unreasonable customers, something spilled in the carpet, those detailed things. So you just have to think about what have you done and come up with a story, right? And then for people who are writers and they're editors, and they're gonna look at your piece. That we hire, LO7 hire a lot of editors. And I'm not an editor, but I work with chief editor. And some of them, they just can't edit. And we send them a sample. We always give them a sample to edit. And they can't. It doesn't matter. They said, I have 20 years school teaching experience. They can't pass the interview. Okay, so that specific area, either editing or writing, or the social media for marketing is what you have done. Okay, you said, oh, I manage this website. Everything's public. I can go on to any website, any of the website I tell you where monthly traffic is. Nobody can hide anything. I can find anything, either paid or non-paid. And I go on your website, oh my gosh, your website is only like 300 clicks a month, forget about it. So you need to talk about, okay, I got it to 10,000 in the beginning, how long, what's my strategy, what's the SEO I use, what's the tools I use SEO. So whatever the relevant things you can always talk about, plus all the soft skills. Yeah. Okay. And then you need to, I think this going to go over a little bit. It's okay. Last time it went over an hour. That's a lot. I think it's very late for East Coast, but I need to finish it. You need to practice your interview. Okay. Right now, most people doing Zoom or Google meetings, I would use Zoom to record and then look at what you have said. It's very, very important is to, if you have a supporting spouse, have them look at it. If you have a great parent, have the parent look at it. If you have a great friend, have the friend look at it. Look at your recording and look at your posture. Look at the way you talk. You need to have enough voice. You need to be passionate. You need to use body language. You need to see eye to eye. It's very, very important. And if you have a coach, I do have a coach that coached me along the way for executive training. He trains me. He tells me what to say, what not to say, and how to be curt, how to be firm. And it's very important. But we are looking for jobs, so most of us don't have the budget. If you do have the budget, I would hire a professional coach, but that's not me, okay? I'm not in this industry, okay? And my coach is too expensive, so I won't recommend either. But with all said, having a coach, a mentor is very, very important, okay? And then energy level must be high, and then you go in. It's very important. Before you go interview, you always need to feel that you already have the job. And you already have the job. You never go in, you fear that you don't have the job. You need to have the feeling you already got to get the job, okay? You need to attract the energy in the universe that the energy will bring you the job, okay? Okay, so during interview, you need to log in at least 5 minutes early or 10 minutes early. Be very professional. Never speak too much or too little. I think a friend just WeChat me said she was interviewed with the top company, did not get job. Maybe she was talking a little bit too much, something like that. Yeah, you have to like pace yourself. And then after finishing a topic, always pause and have eye contact and look at your interviewer, see whether have questions. On the phone, it's very difficult because you don't have eye contact. You just pause a minute and let the recruiter ask you the questions. I've done so many interviews. Oh my gosh, so many. I stopped counting so many interviews. And I tell you, so many people over talking so much that they don't take a pause. I cannot like break into the conversation and then like talk for 20 minutes. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of information. Especially when I interview China, I do a lot of interview from here and interview China to help L7 out using WeChat. Sometimes I'm so tired because at night, they can't stop it, okay? And it's very, very, very important. You finish a topic, you wait, and then they answer the question. Don't ever go on and go on. That's no. That's a low sign. That's a sign of low EQ, actually. If you cannot listen, you only talk, okay? So, and then always making sure your answer address the interviewer's question. You always say, hey, did I address your question? Always get a confirmation, okay? And also at the end, never hang up before the interview hang up, okay? So I talk to a lot of people, and some people, they don't have the etiquette. They're never trained. They always tend to hang up. Like sometimes you have one like last minute sentence, you want to say something, and they hang up on you, and you feel like, oh my gosh, that's rude, okay? So the thing is, you always need to be trained. So here I'm talking about all the skills I'm talking about, you can train yourself. So don't think ever low about yourself. I cannot play violin because I never get trained, okay? And I can't play golf because I never get trained. Everything requires training. Maybe you don't have very high standard, EQ because you never be aware of your emotional intelligence. You never train yourself, okay? So all along the way, I'm gonna tell you, you need to get yourself trained. So the phone etiquette is also training with the interviewer, even with a Zoom. Don't ever leave the Zoom before he or she ends it. Just be very polite, okay? Okay, it's basic ethics, okay? Also, interviewing is a reflection of your communication, technical leadership, and all the team skills, right? Best to use a white background, like a wall. Using virtual background is hard because unless you have a green screen, the virtual background sometimes cut the ears and this, cut my hair. So right now, like I particularly move into, it's my husband's office. I kick him out tonight. I'm not using virtual background because sometimes it's not good. So I would use a real background, but more a white background and more neutral, okay? And very nice lighting and people can see your face, okay? Face well, okay? So, and here's all the other stuff. Like if you're a senior, a little bit of senior, you have a little bit of white hair, I'm not saying that you hide your white hair, but I would touch up a little bit just for the interview. I mean, unfortunately, America is a very young society and people adore youth. So, and they can find your, you know, I'm not saying they're discriminating against age, but looking young during interview is good. The first impression, everybody love beauty. Everybody love youth. So nothing wrong with that, okay? And so I would, you know, do a little bit of, you know, not, if you go in with all the gray hair go in, it's hard. It's really hard. It's like, oh my gosh, right? So there's a perception already there. There's a perception, okay? And what else? Okay, after the interview, you must send, I would have to say, you must send an email to follow up. And thank you, dear recruiter, dear interviewer. And a lot of companies will not. Sorry. Did I have to? Okay. So, a lot of companies, I'm sorry, where I am just like, okay. A lot of companies will not give you the email address for the person that interviewed you. So you need to say, dear recruiter, dear Janet, and you know, this was, I interviewed with somebody, it was a great experience, I believe. So what you do here is you highlight a few items that brought up during the interview, and then you reassure the interviewer have the skills and for that position, and there will be some concerns you need to address that. Okay, so here I'm going to give you another story. Okay, I told you I only really did the job hunting ever once in my life. I was very, very, very lucky, very, very lucky. Okay, ever once in my life. That was out of school. So how did I get that job? How did I get a product management job in high-tech companies at Qualcomm with a bachelor's in English and a master's in consumer economics, right? I do have a minor in marketing, okay? So, and I said, first I prepared really well. The job was an analyst, job was competitive analysis, doing competitive analysis. Later on, when I joined Qualcomm, a lot of people call me industry espionage. It was just a joke, okay? It's a nickname, basically. So I do analysts to tell down the jobs, to tell down the competitors' product and competitors and technologies. So I did really well. I purchased a book on competitive analysis, and I read every single word a couple of times, and I really, really memorized kind of the key things. I took market research classes. I did not take competitive analysis classes from MBA school, but the market research classes paved the foundation. My minor marketing paved the foundation, but I bought the book, I really studied, and that was a classical book, okay, on competitive analysis. And then the second thing, I bought a book on CDMA technologies, okay, on wireless telecommunications, because I was interviewed with a company that invented or commercialized the CDMA for telecoms, right? The 3G, the 2G, now it's a 5G, right? So I knew at least how to spell CDMA. What does CDMA mean? And what does it mean? It means code division multiple access. What's that important during this training? Okay, here you go. When I went there, I got an interview from a director at that time. Right now, later on, Doug Hutchinson, he became a CEO of Cricket Wireless. You can Google him. Now he's a VC, fund owner, okay? And he did ask me, I remember that very well. He did ask me, what's the difference between CDMA and TDMA? So you think I can explain in technical words what the difference? There's no way, right? I don't have that background. So what I explained, okay, CDMA has more advantage is because CDMA is the one, just like you and I speak in Chinese, they too speak Italian, and then they speak Swahili. And in different room, we can understand each other. And so we can put more capacity in one room. But for TDMA, time division multiple access, is you have to divide, you have to give Swahili, the English, the Hindis, the Germans, each room. And I don't have enough room, so my capacity is less. that was so impressive. I got the job because I can use common people's language to explain a technology. At that time was very, very, very new. I was very proud, okay? So with that said is, you know, and you know, here I'm gonna talk about why I talk about it here in follow-up, this story. After the interview, I think I interviewed with 10 people and it was very intensive. They flew me down, they treated me well, they put me in the hotel, okay? And taxi in, good, okay? And then what I did, immediately after the interview, I had a laptop at that time already. I had the laptop, I had the email, but what I did is I wrote each person a thank you letter. And I used a different, you know, the resume paper, people don't use this anymore. To the millennials, so to the people who are Generation Zs, I think, you know, born after year 2000, people probably don't use resume paper anymore. Nice paper, expensive. I was broke, I don't have money, but I still spared, you know, about $10, $20, bought different color of the resume paper. And I wrote a nice letter for each person. I typed it out, I put it in an envelope, kind of at that time, FedEx, whatever, I don't know whether FedEx is there, but you know, fast mail. I put it in a deck and I send into Qualcomm HR. And I ask HR to distribute it to each interviewer. And I remember my hiring boss was Janet, okay? I love her so much. It was a great boss. I will tell a little bit story later about you know, the working relationship there as a young, you know, entry-level position in the later chapter. So we said is that gesture, the work I did to type a personalized letter, use a different paper, put them together, send in, really got me the job. Okay, the interview did well, the follow-up did well, my networking did well because it was alumni, you know, that my first interview with him, and I remember his name, Sanjay Singh, okay? He's Canadian Indian, okay? He went to school at MBA school at Cornell. We did not know each other, you know, he just found my resume, alumni. When I interviewed with him for the consulting job, he made a comment, you have very, very good raw skills. You have good communication skills, analytic skills, all the skills that you know, the top entry level jobs they're looking for positions, but you cannot travel. But I made a very good impression on him. And I believe that time we already have email. I sent him a very nice email to thank him and ask him to keep me in mind. Yeah, he did keep me in mind. He left that company. He went to Qualcomm. He even brought my resume to Qualcomm and recruited me. So every single opportunity, no matter what, try to take advantage of it, because you never know what's going to turn out. Like if he already rejected me on the spot, that I'm really sorry. You have great skills, but we can't hire you because you can't work here. You can't go to London. You can't go to Hong Kong. It was a fantastic job. I can't travel. I don't have work permit, right? And he rejected me. You think I would like, okay, well, forget about it. I'm not even sending a follow-up email. Then the job, I would never ended up at Qualcomm because I never applied, because I followed up him really well, made an impression on him. And then when I did the interview, I followed up with 10 people. So last time when I give the presentation, people ask me whether they should follow up. Doesn't matter, follow up all the time. Yeah. And this is thing just in life. If somebody did you a small favor, okay, just a very, very small favor. Your secretary bought your lunch. Always say thank you. And the secretary did, give her some flour. And your kid's teacher, give them an Amazon card, during Christmas, something very small, or even just pick a small flower from your garden. Okay, if you have a tight budget, just something small, you gotta follow up. You can't utilize people when you think that you need help and you always neglect, never really pay attention to their needs. It's everything, it's bilateral. It's from both parties, okay? It's very, very important. Okay, so now I talk about all the techniques and prepare for the interview, doing interview and follow-up is now negotiate offer. Okay, this is very interesting because
So here I go. I am talking about negotiated offer here. I'm focusing on the big companies. Okay. For small companies, they don't really have a lot of room. They just don't. They don't have the budget. It is really depending on what you want, right? So not everybody is going to go after the big companies. My son, as a CS major, right, top school, and during, I have networks, and I did even ask him, do you want to go to work for a top company? And he's a freshman, a rising sophomore. He told me, no, I want to work for a smaller company, because smaller company, you get to work a lot of things. Big company is one function. So there's a pros and cons, but smaller company doesn't have the budget. He's not working for me. He's working for somebody else. And he was still working for free. This whole summer intern, he worked 10 hours a day. He's working for free, okay? And that's his choice. He loves it. And he asked for, some pay, but they don't have the money. Literally, they don't have the money. But he wants the experience. So he's working there, and he's living with me. That's fine, So I'm just thinking, this whole negotiate offers, I want to just really talk about it, is talk with big companies. Smaller companies, they don't have a lot of budget, and usually there's not much room to negotiate, okay? So here you go. How to negotiate offer, right? First, again, go apply to bigger companies because their data is published, okay? So if first you need to know your level. If you enter in Google, enter in Facebook, enter in Amazon, there's a lot of level. People are self-reporting on different websites. It's reported. So you will talk about, they were like, okay, am I E3, E5, I1, I3, I4, I5, I6, okay? So first you need to know, okay, is this job is for I5 or I6, okay? And then what's the range? You will look at the top pay versus the bottom. It's a big range. And you can look at it. I'm going to go give all this to you, okay? Glass door, everybody knows, right? I'm going to send to everybody. So, sorry. Okay, here. Okay, I'll give you two companies here, levels.fyi and glassdoor.com. Okay, so here we go. And you should do your homework, right? This is it's like competitive analysis. Now I'm doing the analysis and then figure out my level, figure out, there are three components of the big company offering, okay? So I'm gonna apply this to big companies. Not all smaller companies cannot afford this kind of package. Number one, base salary. Number two, RSUs or options, ISUs, mainly now is ISUs, okay? Number three is management bonus or bonus, okay? So usually your salary will decide your bonus, and your level will decide your salary, will decide your bonus, and decide ISUs, okay? ISU, different companies vest in different, most vest in 4 years, some vest the end of the first year, some vest each month, each company is different, okay? So you need to kind of research, know. And the first thing is you never ever let the offering company know how much money you're making right now or how much money you want. So here's the story. I know somebody, top engineer, has a PhD, and it's like, okay, he's affected, as kind of affected. The company's not doing really well at all. So he didn't lose his job, but he just has to go. I think one way, he can't really stay there anymore. So in some way, he's affected by the whole thing. So like at first, he got a recruiter, a very good company, and they asked him how much he wants. He's like, okay, 150K. And he said the bottom line, I'm like, no, go back. It's like, don't ever tell you worth more than 150K. Why are you saying that? Okay, so now he's at Tesla. I did not ask, but I think he learned a lesson. Never ever tell the recruiting company, company about how much he wants, right? Okay, and you're gonna wait. Once the interview is over, you wait for offer, patiently wait for the offer and get the offer first. And when people get the offer, usually the recruiter gonna always push you for how much you want. They're so nice. And most of them, we women are very good communicators. And yeah, most recruiters, HR people are women because we are really good at talking and personalizing it. Tom,
yeah, what really, how much really do you want? You know, it's like very soft, right? And what you're looking at a ballpark, right? So, and a lot of us fall into it and we start sharing. You need to really, really, really train yourself. Don't review anything about your package. Don't ever review it, okay? And then when they give the offer, they say, okay, Tom, so here's a salary, here's the salary. Are you happy? Is this what you're looking for? And then most people said, oh, this is not enough. Or, you know, they say, oh, the offer is great. You know, say, okay, this is really good. But don't ever, when they present it to you on the phone, don't ever review any feelings about the offer. Always say, I really appreciate you putting together. I really would like to take it and really understand a little bit by myself and maybe with my partner. Okay? Something like that. Just be very, very professional. Do not review, and then take a day, no more than 2 days, and go back and saying, here, can you increase the RSU? Can you increase the salary? Or can you the salary and the bonus, they're together. So it's usually a percentage for most companies, okay? So like for my first offer, it was very low, my entry level, and I was desperate. I literally ran out of money and living in the basement of Daly City, South San Francisco, almost died from a car accident because I bought a really bad car and almost killed me. Okay, I was at that time was so desperate, and I had somebody train me, and I was very, very lucky. And we got the offer, we took a look at it, and he said, no, you should ask them for more options, or you should ask them for more salaries. So even though I was so desperate, I went there with my Cornell friends. We were living in co-op, we're housemates, we're so happy. And they were all Americans. They always say, Dan, let's come out and have lunch. Toward the last few weeks, I even didn't have money for any lunch. I said, Pax, I can't go out with you because I don't have money. I literally don't have money. I was so desperate. And you guys are all in better situation than me today. Okay, it doesn't matter, you're coming from overseas, and most people who come here right now, the situation, I think 99% of people are doing much better looking for a job than I was in that time. And I have a humanities major, you know, I don't have a tech degree. It was very, very difficult. I was so desperate, but I still, with somebody's training me, I still went back and say, hey, can you increase a little bit? And they did increase a little bit. Okay, so that's good, right? So that's a big company, right? Qualcomm is a big company. At that time, it's still pretty big. It was already, you know, a few thousand employees. So with that said, is you go back and you tell, and then they're not gonna give you what you ask for. And they're gonna come back and they're gonna say, hey, we can do this, but we cannot do that. How about we throw you in a little bit of sign-up bonus or this and that? Okay, don't forget to ask about sign-up bonus. Don't forget to ask about relocation package. If you're relocation, you can't really negotiate because they are based on the number of people. If your whole family 4, your package is bigger. If you have 2 or single, your package is lower. Okay, but sign-up bonus, it depends on how much you give up in the current company. Maybe you give up options here to join them. So with all said, you're gonna go, you ask them for a little bit high, and they're gonna come back and you're gonna say, okay, that's a little bit lower. Can you just do this one more thing? And they're gonna go back to their compensation department. They go fix it. They finish it. Okay, two rounds at most. You can't go on. They think they're gonna be upset, and you don't want to lose that job because you want it, right? If you want it, you're negotiating, and always you show the sincerity you want it, and don't play any game. Don't like, you know, it's like, oh, kind of threaten them that you're using the offer to go get a competing offer. Yeah, there will be competing offers. Okay, some competing offer can make it. It's unfortunate with a big company, they are at advantage. A lot of very good companies, startup, and in the like a private stage, they cannot offer that much. So if some people want to go the risk and they want to go the excitement of IPO startup and learning more things, and some people want to looking for stability. So it's up to you. I'm not saying that we're all going for the big packages at a stable company. I think many of us choose to take a little bit of risk as well. Okay. Okay, then here go. This is my last, I think, discussion is tips for interns. Okay, so you have to start from somewhere. Nobody will be born and be a professional. You have to, and right now, it just this country. I mean, when I was growing up, when I was going to school, college was fun. I wasn't really thinking about interns, this and that, you know, which is fun, right? In college life. But now it's like, okay, my son is like, okay, the freshman schools is stressful. And now like the moment he get into schools, everybody's thinking about interns. It's unfortunate the way it is. I can change it. I can change it. I'm not saying that, you know, we should not do intern, but I think it's an overkill. But anyway, so what? So we got it. People want to find an internship, just okay. And starting in high school, middle school now, I have middle school students and high school students working for us as interns, okay? So first is be passionate about what you're doing and be less concerned about what it's in for you, really. And you are gaining experience. You're really gaining experience. I'm not like hats off to my son. I didn't train him. It's up to him. He really loves what he's doing and he's doing for free. Never ever any complaints. He just loves it. Okay. And I admire that. I think every one of us, whether you get paid or you're not paid, you should enjoy what you are doing. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, if you just want to get something on your resume, don't do it. Forget about it. Forget about it. Just don't do it. Just walk it away because you're suffering. You just want to get something on your resume. It's not worth it. You know why it's not worth it? Because life is all about journey. Life is not just about results. At the results, we all die, okay? Sorry, it's just we all go every day. The moment I speak 1 second, I'm closer to death. That's it, right? But we have to enjoy the moment. We have to enjoy the journey. If you are doing the internship, you better enjoy it, paid or non-paid. And there's a lot of paid interns. There's a lot of non-paid interns as well. I do have paid interns. I do have unpaid interns as well. And sometimes I see the unpaid interns, they're enjoying much more than the paid interns. They just love it. They love what they're doing and they love what they're learning, okay? I'm not encouraging for unpaid interns. There are different circumstances, right? For different company at different stages, okay? So job. Yes, you are getting jobs. It doesn't matter where you're doing startup, okay? And it's all about experience. You do need to learn experience. As I said, you need to be trained. It's like swim. Every day I swim, I get better and better. Every day I do meditation, I get better and better. It's just a practice, okay? There's no secret about it, right? So how a high school student or college student build up experience, it's through internship, right? And they are, to me, and here it's not like, you know, people say, oh my gosh, you are a hiring intern, so you're coming from the employer point of view. But my children are also doing interns as well. So I hear coming up unbiased. Here's unbiased. It's not because I'm employer here, okay? I think experience and endorsement to students are more valuable than money. They're much more valuable than money. I have a teacher teaching English, right, for L7. It's a simple job, teaching English. The L7 is English for teaching kids for ESL, right? Apple, Orange, you know, the age 3 to age 12. And, but this lady, she has a great bachelor's degree, travel around teaching English. She loves it. She takes this very, very seriously. And she also writes for us. At the end, I know her very well. I know she's trying her best. And at the end, she said she wants to go to Harvard to pursue an education background. And she asked me for a recommendation letter. And her boyfriend also worked with us. And her boyfriend has a little bit of view about me writing a recommendation letter for her because I'm not a big shot. Like they view like Harvard admissions looking for some guy like, or some professor, big name, right? And, you know, some like international educational fund, some owner. I am just a regular Joe, okay? But I know her work really well. I know how she writes. I know how she recruits. She even set up a Shopify store to sell we have our unique design, unique clothes, unique malus, like unique characters. She put it on the shop. She sells to thousands of the teachers as gifts, right? She's very creative, and she makes a lot of fun videos. Like she made a video sitting on the toilet for tutoring, just for fun. Okay, this is just a joke. Very humorous teacher. So I really spent, recommendation letter is not easy to write. I spent quite a few hours. I really thought about who she is. I wrote a 2-page long page recommendation letter for her and for Harvard. And then she got it. She got it. She's graduating this year. She got it. Yeah. So, and if you think if the endorsement, right? And you think like, you know, if somebody who doesn't really know you, hasn't really worked with you, writing a recommendation letter is worth anything, worth nothing, right? I have folks like, you know, calling me because I went to school and they said, okay, if you went to this school, if you help my daughter writing a recommendation letter, I said, you know, I can't because I even don't know your daughter. It doesn't matter, right? So all I'm saying is the endorsement and experience is very, very important. Those recommendation letter from your boss, from people you work with, especially your previous employee, is very, very valuable, okay? Especially for those people who can write well about what you have done, okay? And then I must say, most internship, I observing my son's experience, I observing my own experience of working with interns, we do put a lot of time in mentoring students. I meet with my intern individually once a week, okay, on my business intern, once a week, 30 minutes, okay? Then I give the same project for them to do and each body do a little bit different, then I put them as a team. So I put first like 4 people working on the same thing, then 2 people together, then 3 people, then 4 people. So I want them to, because I've observed for project things, like my son always complained in school that if they work together, one person just like they didn't do anything. And then they just enjoy what other people do. There's always one type of A person working really hard and some others enjoying, right? The results, right? As a project, right? So I know this too well. So I usually let them individually work hard and contribute. And then once come to a time that I saw there are some results from individual contribution, I put them as a team and they collaborate and deliver, and then everybody take the credit for the final project, okay? So they are getting trained. So I really encourage all the interns that really take serious what you have and don't really look at the, you know, money that much. But some people, they really depend on the money. I really would be very, very straightforward. You go find a job that's paid, that's really paid. If you want to looking for more than money, more experience, sometimes you need to take some sacrifice because there are jobs from Google and Facebook, they're paid, but there are not many of them. Okay, to especially high freshmen, from freshman college students and high school students, there are just not many. I know a student who is being employed by the top consulting company, and her internship right after freshman year was also paid, right? This is just reality, okay? And then when you are working, you hold the highest standards, right? I know a lot of people, they're juggling through, they're working 2 interns, or they're working one job at Starbucks, one job at Vance, one doing intern, or they're doing tutoring, or they're taking summer classes, or they're interning during the school year and they have taken 16 or 17 credits. It's very stressful, right? However, one thing I want to make strict clear, if you made a commitment, you make a commitment. If you made a commitment, say 3 hours a week or 6 hours a week, you better live up to your commitment. And it's very, very unprofessional and interns saying, oh, I have too much work, I have this and that. I'm very, very empathetic, but you already made a commitment. Unless you tell me that you want to drop. Otherwise, you need to deliver. So the more cues you give the employers that you are overloaded, you are stressful, you are doing this, you're doing that, that's a not good sign. That's not a good sign at all, and doesn't build a very, very strong relationship. So I know a lot of you are online or listening to this, and I want to be very, very straightforward. Okay, and your parents, you know, listening, you can tell them as well. Okay, okay. So then the schools I talk about, I don't want to repeat, right? I respect top schools. I think we all should try best. If we can afford it, go for Stanford and Harvard. And if you don't get in, not a big deal. Really, really, really not a big deal. I'm just telling you, if you don't get into those schools, it's fine. So it's the same for parents. Try best, but
accept, right? Because tomorrow is unknown, okay? Teamwork, we talk about teamwork already, about leaning in, yeah, about supporting others, pulling others, right? And lastly, I want to talk about require the EQs and the top energy. So how we gonna really go through this process? Job hunting is very, very stressful, especially you got laid off, very, very stressful, because in the morning you get up, it's like, okay, I'm not going to work. What am I gonna do, right? You're gonna look for jobs. So you need to have very strong emotion, very strong mindset, peaceful mindset. You cannot be stressed out. If you're stressed out, it just doesn't do you good, okay? So what I would suggest, first, you need to get really good, sufficient sleep. And if you don't get good sleep, you can't perform well, you can't interview well. You need to regular exercise. I sleep very well. I exercise, like I morning swim 45 minutes right now, and try to walk the dog 45 minutes at night. But tonight I'm gonna skip the dog walking. And I take a little siesta. It's basically hypnosis. 催眠, it's like I can put myself into sleep within a few minutes. And I use techniques to put myself into sleep within very short, and I do 10, 15 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes at most. And it's really refreshed, okay? And I do meditation before I go to bed. Before I go to bed, I meditate a little bit and meditate myself to sleep. But I also get up in the morning before I go to sleep, before I go swimming, I do meditation, okay? Meditation to me is very, very important. So I'm not here talking about promoting meditation. It's a very, very holistic approach. Not everybody understands it. I completely got it. I'm just telling you that meditation can help my brain. My memory is better and better. Actually, I'm getting sharper and sharper. And I can be more calm and more intelligent, more empathetic, more wearing other people's shoes, and just less stressful. And you know, peaceful mind is the most important thing, right? So with that, searching for a job is you need to get yourself very organized. You need to know what you wanted to do, write down daily plan. Do I, you know, focus on this interview, that interview? Do I take an AWS certificate? Do I learn about product management design? Do I learn about recommendation design? If there's an interview coming up as a product manager, you need to kind of like juggle through, okay, have a very good plan together. So with that, I think it's pretty much finishing my, presentation. I just hit time, but I need to go and open up the Zoom for Q&As, okay? So, okay, I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm gonna, okay, so everybody, welcome. Any questions? I didn't get a chance to read the chat, so I'll just open up to questions.
Hi, Dandan. It's Yiqing here. Thank
Hi,
you.
Yiqing.
Thank you so much for your wonderful discussion. And then I think gleaning from the chat and also a personal question, negotiation sounds like an area where a lot of us want more insights on. And my particular question is, what if in the first round, the recruiter already asks you, like, what's your expected salary? Like, do I tell them? And another question I saw is how to be 圆滑, like how to be not showing your true emotions and be very tactful in negotiating. Thank you.
Okay, great, Ichi. So basically, they ask you how much you want. You can say how much I trust your company will value my experience and provide me an offer that matches my experience.
Wow, that's great. Thank you.
And then, I'm sorry, this is Dachen. We actually talked on WeChat. First of all, I want to say this is like you're doing a great public service here. Really appreciate your time. Like I say thank you to you on behalf of all the audience. And second of all, like for like I told you I was like, did you use me as an example earlier? Because you told me like, did I tell? Because I probably told you I talked too much in my previous Facebook interview. Is that me or you have someone else?
A lot of people talk a lot.
I know. But do I talk? I probably talk too much. Anyway, I do have I actually did get an offer, but it's from a small company, and they have a like external third party recruiting service company. And what they did was they asked me how much I was gonna ask. And I told them like, just tell me how much they're willing to offer. I know like your commission is proportional to like my final paycheck, right? So they told me like a range, and I pretty much said like, give me like 5,000 or 10,000 more than the upper range. And she told me she did like tell the company, and then she get back to me saying they're not gonna do that. They're just gonna give me like a 5,000 like sign on bonus thing. Did I screw that up, or that's the best I can do given that circumstances?
Yeah, it's a smaller company, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, smaller company, you don't have a lot of room. They just don't have the budget.
Right. So like, I mean, I obviously I asked for their like range, and I add a little on their upper range, right? That's a logical thing for me to do. I don't know, right?
Yeah. If you know their range, I usually, that's what I said about the level. If you know the level, say the company's I and the E's, right? And if you know you're doing the I5 or I6 or E5, E6, you know the top. So when you first going back asking, you're gonna push the top range.
Right. Obviously, you're gonna push the top range. Right. And another question, sorry. And you mentioned that you wanna like put your undergrad school like on your resume, right? But I just want to say like, as from my experience, it's kind of like counterproductive, because I actually did like I have two versions on my resume. One of them is for program management. The other, because I do have a MBA somewhere like in China, and the other one is like pure technical, like semiconductor engineer. I used to work for Broadcom and Qualcomm. So I do have both. And when I was interviewing for like pure technical engineering job, I kind of feel like at the beginning I wrote like graduate school. I went to UCLA for graduate school. And at the beginning I put both, and I did that. I felt it was kind of like working against me. So later I took my undergrad away. And when I went to the interview, like for technical like jobs, interviewers are like a lot of times Chinese people, and they're probably American, but they have a Chinese accent. But I'm generalizing, but they usually ask me where I went to college, but I really didn't want to know. I didn't want to say that. Otherwise, I would have put that on my resume. And sometimes what I had to say that, but like 我就是因为我是北大的，所以他们一旦问我 usually like once I reveal that, it usually results in a a pass. So I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make it simple. If I were you, I would put undergraduate degree. Always put undergraduate degree.
I know, but I kind of feel like once I put it, they don't like me already.
No. It's authentic. You need to go in with true who you are, and your undergraduate degree is part of you. You cannot hide it. Period. Yeah, you may not agree, but I'm going to tell you my opinion, and I probably will just answer this question now. I would put undergraduate degree.
Okay.
Always going forward. Authentic is very important.
Sure, great. Okay, and I do have an interview for program management like on Wednesday. So
yes.
Yeah, if you have time, I really appreciate you can give me some pointers. I'm a big fan for a long time.
Yeah. I'm gonna make a quick program management. It's really there are a few things, right? If people can take the notes. If you want to for program manager a program goal, so you need to really understand what you have done, like what goals you have aligned among different stakeholders, and then once you start knowing the goals and stakeholders, you need to know how to put a plan together. And when you put a plan together, you need to how to drive the deliverables, how to like deliver, and then you need to manage the risks, right? So those components you need to based on what you have done in the job to touch the goals, the stakeholder alignment, deliverables, risk management, and then especially in the relevant industry. So if it's a program management software, you need to talk about, or hardware is a little bit different. That's where the foundation is. So I give you a very good
component foundation for you to talk about your program management. And there are interviews on Zoom, on YouTube. You can look it up. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
a very quick follow-up. If you are giving like examples for like delivery, driving deliverables or mitigating a risk, how detailed do you want your examples to be? Do you give like numbers or just like technical terms? Like how detailed do you want it to be?
No, it's the language everybody can understand that describe your project, right? If you did a chipset hardware design, and that's where it's the where you don't want to go into too details, and then the recruiter doesn't really understand the interview. You need to talk about the level that everybody understands without a PhD degree or without specific knowledge. But if the person who's interviewing is getting very detailed, you're going to gauge where they are. You don't want to daunt. You don't want to threaten your interviewer saying you outsmart them. You want to look at where their comfortable zone is and you fit into their comfort zone.
So the general principle is like I start from like a layman terms level and I go down if I was asked.
A little bit, yes. You say a few sentences, you stop right there and you look at them.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But you need to practice on the Zoom, okay? I would say practice it. And have your friend or folks that watch it for you and give you critiques, okay?
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much.
No problem. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Dandan, can I ask a quick question? And
Yes.
yeah, I really enjoy your talk. I just want to know, as a female leader, how to influence others without giving an impression that female leaders or manager directors are relatively soft in decision making, especially as an Asian female leader, because when climbing the ladder,
that's very, very hard. That's very, very hard. I run into it's especially in high-tech industry, and when we go in, we have some perceptions already laid. If you're a female leader and you raise your voice, people say you're emotional. And you walk in, you walk into the room, it's like, oh my gosh, it's a lady, you're not technical, right? Then on top of that, oh my gosh, English is not our first language. You are immigrant, you have accent. Okay, triple whammy, right? It's hard. So the thing is that you need to be confident that you know your stuff. So what you know, my management style is always empowering. And that's how I manage my kids. I'm very proud of my kids turning out really well. I really don't tell them what to do. I let them figure out what to do. I manage my team as well. I have high level expectations, but how they get there, it's up to them. So whatever you manage, you always manage why. Don't manage how and don't manage what. They know the why, they can do it themselves. Right?
Okay.
That's
yeah,
what
I understand. It's more like motivation, not like micromanagement. Those guys, those juniors, those reporters, they will figure it out. And I have another quick question. I know you are busy.
no
You climb the ladder because I see your LinkedIn. You worked in a big company for more than 20 years. Mm-hmm. So especially you are more like a non-technical person, just as you said, you manage a big group in a high-tech company. So what's your biggest challenge and how do you solve that?
For me, the biggest challenge is as a woman. And that's the biggest challenge. So, however, from work point of view, that I told you, I have a great memory. I'm not afraid of asking questions. When I'm in the meetings, there are a lot of engineers, they're under my leadership. I will ask them questions. So what I did is at the meetings, if I don't understand, I ask questions. I never be shy and shameful that I don't know. I simply don't know. Okay, everything's new. We're talking about trust zone. We're talking about all this new stuff. How would I know everything, right? So ask questions. And I have very, very good memory. And I work really hard. Sometimes I write very, very good summaries. And really the summary goes out, people are like, oh my gosh, she knows her stuff. And then I always have individual meetings with my leaders. So once I was managing a team at 150 engineers, the most high profile project at that time for the company, I have 6 technical leaders. I have the multimedia leaders, the modem, the product, and I meet with them individually once a week. So I empower my leaders and they empower them. And then we have a mechanism, we have daily scrum, and we have a mechanism put together. And then I manage expectations. I manage up in terms, I tell them what's the risk, where we are, what's the stuff that could gate the launch. And I also manage the customer relationship. So I manage up and manage down. It takes a lot of effort. I did sacrifice a lot of my personal life. I didn't really spend a lot of time with my kids. And at that time, my father was here and he was saying, oh my gosh, you're busy than Prime Minister. 你比总理还忙. But you know, it just at that time, I agreed to take on the job. I delivered to my promise. I don't want people to be disappointed if I were not performing. Yeah. So, but it is very hard. As a female in high-tech industry in general, it's very challenging because there are not many of us. But now more and more, hopefully people are more comfortable.
And also, you also work for Boston the consulting company. Sometimes I worked for them, not for them, I work for another consulting firm. Sometimes it's a little bit hard for first generation because they think you don't have much the same culture, or your English cannot convince the client. Sometimes a lot of challenges. So yeah, that you have great experience in that.
Yeah.
Really.
So one thing I would really encourage, especially at the management level or the first generation, really go spend some time, improve your accent. It's so important. I don't think I command perfect English, but I think my accent, I rose up because I command very good English. And a lot of my peers, they have PhDs. They could not rise up as fast I was because I think the communication skills. So the accent is very, very important because accent is a status. It's a status. And I'm very impressed with the first generation coming from China now, because I'm proud for LO7, for what my brother's company has done, is to educate the people, all the students with bilingual. Now I have interns working for me and you can tell they were born in China or born in US. And my partners were very impressed when we interviewed them. Perfect English, okay? Then you blend in. The accent does help you to blend in. So I spend some time, an hour a day, at least 30 minutes, or just trying to listen. And there are accent tools, correction tools you can find in YouTube. My son's learning Japanese. He is using the tools to input, really can help you with accent. Yeah, okay. Any other questions?
Thank you
Hi,
so
Dandan.
much.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I raised my hand, but I just really want to say thank you. I'm a rising sophomore at Cornell. So Ithaca is gorgeous right now, and I would love to send you pictures. I have so many of them. And I feel like I'm so lucky because I feel like it's really like connecting with my dearest mentor who's helping me with my interview in 2 days, you know? And I'm just so happy that I see this in Epic, Berkeley WeChat group. And at first I was wondering, is it from a Cornell message? But I'm just so happy, and it means a lot to me. So I have like 5 pages of notes and I have everything you said memorized by heart. And anyway, I just really appreciate it. I'm super excited, as you can see. As for my questions, I actually draw something like this. So it's like you mentioned your skill set. Basically, it's like maybe you have more than 4 years of experience, and then you have a well-rounded skill set. But I'm just like curious if there's just a little, you know, see, like all the other skills, you're perfect. And there's just one little skill that you may be a little bit weaker, and you might not be so confident in that skill. So I'm curious to know, like, if this is, as you're applying to jobs, what would happen? As for what would be this little weak skills, or is it doesn't matter, or, you know, not everyone's perfect. So I'm really curious to know that.
Oh yeah, it matters. It can be trained. I was training somebody who was an engineering manager, engineering director, and to interview for program management job. And he did not really know the tools of the program management really well, but he has the fundamental technical skills to manage projects. So, so there were discussions about how to catch up like how to use the previous examples to talk about, they will ask you what tools you have used. Did you use, Smartsheet, a Schedule, Microsoft Schedule, AppSheet, Jira? If you as an engineer, of course you use some tools to track, right? So just be very honest about it, and then talk about that you are learning. So like, okay, he was looking for AppSheet something and a Smartsheet. So okay, I was learning, and and I found this probably will be helpful for the new job as well. So first you can tell the relevant skill set, even though they're not perfect, to the interviewer. And you also say, hey, I'm doing this. And the same thing, I was helping somebody with the cloud computing, and the cloud computing experience was not very strong, but he was taking an AWS certification and he finished it. Okay. So you can augment with the current learning program. Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yes, thank you. Mm-hmm.
Hi, Dandan. I'm just gonna cut straight into my question. But essentially, this is a question for you and a lot of other people who are here as well. A problem that I ran into with the interview process is that there's not a lot of feedback, right? A lot of companies have policies where they are not allowed to give candidates feedback. Like recruiters, like if you ask recruiters, like, hey, like, what did the interviewers say about me? They're like, I can't tell you, like company policy. So what are some strategies and techniques that we can use to kind of convert this, failed interview into something that we can learn from? Do you have any advice on that? And, anyone else who is dealing with this, if you could just like type in chat on what kind of strategies you use, that'd be great as well.
Okay, yeah, great question, Michael. I rejected a bunch of interns back in June or July, and they came back and asked me, why am I rejected? And I said, I cannot share the reason, and our job positions are limited. So later on, the people who follow up with me, and they're really good actually, when the more jobs open up, I approach them. So sometimes you're perfectly qualified, they just don't have enough positions, or there's one competitor better than you. So how I only have one job searching experience, so I keep using my own experience. How I ended up at Qualcomm is I interviewed well, and also, why did it take so long? I didn't finish my story because I was on the waiting list. And the person, they offered a job to another person who is much senior, and he thought the pay was too low, he turned it down. And then took them 2 months and come down to the waiting list and offered the job to me. So sometimes you're rejected, not because you're not qualified, because there's somebody's better than you. That's it.
Right, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, so I will not hold on to concerned about why you failed. You think you should get it, you passed it really well. Just somebody that hit really well. Or usually people don't hire for relationship. Like if you and the other person all go in there, it's very rarely that they hire for relationship. But I don't want to preclude. There are certain cases that people say, hey, that person is related, but that's very rare. It's basically as a team, most big company, I can tell you, it's all group decision. They need to make a group decision. So you need to pass the interview for 7 or 8 people for you to get an offer. And if one person not comfortable or you didn't answer well, and she or he said no, and then you probably won't get the job.
Right. It's just because there's not a lot of feedback process in the process, it's hard to know how you did, right? It's hard to get a feel for how you did. So I think earlier on you mentioned that, right now, because it's all through Zoom and Google Hangouts, we can actually record our interviews. So
yeah.
that was actually really helpful for me, where if I can record it, I can show, someone and be like, hey, go review it. I think that was something you mentioned I thought was really helpful. And that's definitely something I'm going to try doing from now on. Yeah,
Yeah.
just because a lot of times it's just hard to know, like, oh, how well, I think I did pretty well, but then objectively, how well did you really do? It's really hard to gauge.
Yeah, the coding question, if you're in interview for tech questions, the coding question, you know how well you did, right?
Well, yes. Well, ideally, you solve the question, but sometimes you feel like, well, I nailed the question, but then maybe you did too slow and they have follow-up and they expect you to nail the question and they were going to shoot you with follow-up, right? So you might have think that you did well, but then they might have had a different bar or standard that they held you to. So like, again, like I said, this is where a lot of ambiguity comes in the interview process, where I feel uncomfortable, or I think a lot of people feel uncomfortable, with this, it's just that hard to gauge.
I agree. You have to accept the reality. Nobody gonna tell you why, because they could get themselves into trouble.
Right.
Yeah, so you just have to accept it, and if you can record it and review it, do it better. But I tell you that for a person to get a top job, really top job, it take about 3 to 6 months, and you would probably interview with at least 30 companies.
Yeah, at a certain point, it just feels like a numbers game.
It's a numbers game, and it's a numbers game, and you're gonna hit a home run. Just keep trying, and every time I told you again, you go in, and you need to overcome that you probably won't get the job. You already need to feel that you already have the job. That's so important. I cannot emphasize about that. I'm so holistic, but this is working for me so well and working for many people.
For sure. Yeah, it's definitely the important mindset to have.
It's definitely important. Mindset and the emotion part of it. Yeah, you already have it. It's very important. You already have the job. Yeah, good. Okay.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome, Michael. Anybody else? Good. No more?
If no one else has a question, I have a quick follow-up. It's about networking, and especially right now with COVID going on. What are some ways to network? Because before you go to, well, my way to network was going to career fairs, meeting with recruiters, and then maybe scheduling like a coffee chat or something like that. But right now with COVID, I've pretty much only done cold emailing, and I was wondering if there are more efficient methods that you can recommend, like networking with recruiters and industry contacts.
Yeah, so you're saying those people you don't know, you're trying to network with them, or you already know?
Both. Like people that I don't know that I'm hoping to reach out to, for example, recruiters, as well as people who I have a relationship but not really had a chance to like cultivate. Like kind of you said, like I wouldn't be able to, I know them, but I haven't really kept it up. I haven't really invested until now. But there's definitely both of those belong to the same category.
Yeah. For the people you already know about it, I mean, the best case is I would say if you have their phone number, send them a text. Maybe they can grab a Zoom coffee time. I do feel I married into multicultural family. My husband's not from mainland, so the whole family are in here in US, and I feel they are more connected in terms of how okay. So they do more coffee time, like they work out, they have a Zoom coffee time, and friends, they network much more than us. Yeah, so I think you grew up here, so you should hang out with friends, say, hey, let's grab a coffee, let's have a beer if you can drink over Zoom, and just chat. And that's a very good way for those people you already know, but you don't know that well. And there are a lot of professional groups. They're doing the webinars and stuff. So you will join in and you listen, and then you can follow up those professional groups. But recruiters, you just have to like LinkedIn them one by one. some will be back to you, some won't be back to you. Yeah. So I suggest that you're looking for a job, you need to keep a very good database, a spreadsheet for all the jobs, for all the people talking to, for all the contact.
Do you have any links to these profession groups? Kind of like you had a link for like Glassdoor and Levels, FYI. You know, I was wondering if you had any links to these or like invitations to these profession groups that you can pass on that we can join, because I'm not super familiar with these groups myself.
I see. What industry are you in?
Software engineering, computer science. Yeah.
There's tons of them. Where are you located?
SF.
Huh?
Bay Area.
Oh my gosh, there's so
yeah. So
many.
I'm in the middle of it, but I just haven't, you know, I just haven't really like found any, which is strange, I guess. Yeah.
Really? Okay. I have to take that question because I don't have it in mind right now. Give me one second. My dog really knocked on the door. 1 second.
Oh,
okay?
gotcha. Take your time.
1 second.
Hey, Michael.
Yeah. Anybody?
Yeah. Hi.
Suggestion?
I just let you know I do recruiters looking. I mean, as a recruiter, find me a job often. So most of the time, I'm using the Indeed, and you just search. Sometimes when you see the Indeed, there's a lot of jobs, and a lot of job is offered by the recruiter, not directly by the company. So you just do Indeed and LinkedIn too.
Yeah, just like cold emailing and connecting to recruiters, sending them a note. Yeah.
Right.
So that's definitely
yeah.
I was kind of curious as well about like these professional groups that we talked about earlier that Dandan mentioned, because I think that's yeah.
Are you in alumni group? Was your school heavily involved?
I'm not heavily involved, but yeah, I think it's the nature. I went to a large public university here in Berkeley, UC Berkeley, so a lot of alumni groups tend to be more scattered and not super tight, I feel like, personally. But yeah.
You should. I think if I were you, I would network starting with your alumni. If you were joining a club or you were at a fraternity, I would reach out to those groups first. Yeah.
Okay.
There's so many groups. The other day I was posting the machine learning and I went on like Berkeley group, this Berkeley group, that as a parent, I posted in a lot of groups.
Yeah.
So start with that. And then let me think about if I know about the high tech. I have a very good friend who's there and working in pretty powerful position. And let me ask around, okay? And,
all right, thank you so much.
I mean, the one thing you can connect me. I mean, my email, our company email is public on the website at nextstream.com. That's the best way to reach me. Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions?
Hi, Dandan.
Yes.
So I have a question here. I'm planning to graduate at the end of the year, and now I'm doing my job search. So I have a question about like job searching itself. Like when you go to Indeed, there's like many job posted on there. If I try to reach out with them now saying that I'm graduating at the end of the year, how do I know that they are not requiring for someone to start working now, or can I negotiate that part with them?
Yeah, you can negotiate.
So usually I will just start, how should I phrase that? Like start connecting with them first?
Yeah, it will take you about 6 months to get a job. So you should start looking for a job now.
Okay, got
now.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Very
confident. I understand. Okay, Amber?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I do have a follow-up question. First of all, I really agree that it's a numbers game, right? Like I actually told this joke to you. I said to Dandan, like on our WeChat conversation, I said it's like finding a job is like going on blind dates. Like usually you get a meal out of it, and if you're a woman. And like a lot of those judgments are based on like unverifiable facts. Like what did you do in your last job? That's unverifiable, and like not like quantifiable qualities like credentials and stuff. A lot of those are not like intangible things, right? Like I said, it's based on the attraction, so to speak, right? It's kind of like going on a blind date.
Yeah, so what's your question? Yes, I agree with you. It's numbers game, yes.
Right, my question was that you said it's best to get like internally referred into for position, but my question is, once you get like an interview, does it matter like if it's from like you just randomly applied, or it's from like an internal referral?
I tell you, once you are in front of the interviewer, not really much. Oh. There are perceptions that, you know, some people like, oh, their own people, this and that. There's possibility, but it's not verified. Once you go, first you need to get the interview. Once you get in front of them, it's really your performance for the interview.
Right, but you're also talking about the first like initial round of like phone screen, right? Once you get that, it doesn't matter if you get it from a friend or from like online, just hundreds of emails, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah, the first, it's the same thing. The screening is from HR. It's usually pretty easy. The first screening, okay, the next screen is from the not the hiring manager. Sometimes like company like a Google, if you apply for product management, they will ask a product manager to interview. And those are product designs. They're gonna ask you, hey, how do you design a recommendation system? And those you need to pass.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, my Wednesday's interview with Qualcomm, like there's no recruiter or HR involved. I just got an email from this hiring manager directly. So once I get there, it's already agnostic already, right?
It's agnostic. Once you're in front of them, it's agnostic. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You need to get your resume in front of the hiring manager and be selected for interview. That's the first step. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thanks.
Any other questions?
Hi, I have a question. Dandan, thank you so much. I just wondering, I saw your LinkedIn. When you saw us, you didn't put the year on there. I just wondering if this is a trend or trick.
I don't. Yeah, I do not. I mean, people can find out my age. That's not a problem. Yeah, right now it's a trend that people, especially for the senior folks, not in putting the year. It's a trend. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, you are not required to put a year, and you are going back again. You are not required to disclose your salary, current salary, to your new employer or prospective employer. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. No more? It's all good. Okay. We're 45 minutes over. Okay. Better than last time. Okay. I think we're going to say goodbye and really, 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 really appreciate all of your support and coming in, and without the audience, without the presentation. So I'm just very thankful. And if this is of help to all of us together, okay, we help each other. Yeah. Along the way. Okay. That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah. My email is on the website. Somebody know my WeChat, and we'll keep in touch, okay?
Dandan for president. You should run for office.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, what do you say?
I said you should run for office. We're gonna vote for you.
Thank you, Amber. I'm not there yet.
Right?
Too much going on. Thank you, Amber. Okay. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Dan, talk to you later.
Thank you. Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.